This is Dan, joined by my co-host Nathan Smith, and this is another episode of the Full Force MMA podcast. And we're delighted to be joined by Double Trouble tonight, the Bonner brothers, the twins. How are we doing, fellas?
You okay?
Yes, thank you. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, very good to have you both on, especially because you've got very big fight dates coming up. So it's a pleasure to have you on. So we'll start with growing up in Warrington. Tell us a little bit about that. Are you rugby league nuts? Are you Wire fans and stuff like that?
Do you know what? We never really had much of a rugby background, which, let's say, Warrington is known for its rugby overall, over anything else. But yeah, we were never really too interested in the rugby, to be honest. I think we went to a few games, and that was like the beginning and end of our rugby careers. I think just going and supporting the team here and there.
Yeah, we never.
What about
we never played, did we? We were always pretty. I think we were pretty skinny in school, so I don't think we even. They're more footballers than rugby players, really.
What about combat sports? How did that come about? Because we've seen that image today, so and then I've reposted, which I think that's going to have brought back some memories. So where did it all begin for you two fellas? Did you both start at the same time? I'm assuming, yeah.
Yeah, we did. We just finished playing for a local football team, and it was kind of killing two birds with one stone. Really, it was a case of we need a new passion, we need something to put our energy into, and obviously for anyone who does know Warrington, it can be quite a rough town, and that self-defense aspect came into it as well. So it was just an ad in the paper, a local kickboxing gym, and that's where it all started, really.
Yeah, that's one. Who was the most competitive out of the both of you when you first started out? And is it still the same now?
I think I was probably more. I was a better fighter when Matthew first knew, like at the interclubs and stuff. I was better at kickboxing, but we never competed against each other. We never, even from kids, we were always just kind of build each other up. We never ever, like, if Matthew won a fight, I would never be jealous. If I lost, whatever, do you know what I mean? He would never be jealous of me. So we was always just trying to support each other more than anything else, really.
Nice.
Yeah, did that help in a sense? Because it must be daunting being young and going into a kickboxing class, and so being brothers, being together. Did that help you get more embedded in the sport from early?
I think it did. I think, like you say, for two 10-year-olds to walk into a gym, it is scary. Even walking into a new gym now as a 33-year-old veteran of the sport, it can be a little bit daunting. So going in and at least having someone you can partner up with, someone who's at the same level as you, someone you can trust to spar with properly and pad you and all the rest of it. I think it certainly made the process much easier than it would be if you were just there on your own.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's definitely more positive. I think in the past, it's kind of the negative comes out of it where we were kind of socialising together, training together, living together. You kind of get sick of the sight of each other in the end. But we've always used it. We're each other's kind of best training partner, really, best sparring partners.
And did you two watch fights growing up, or was it a case of mainly just sort of doing the sport rather than watching it?
There wasn't any fighting on TV when we were that young. This is how far the sport's come in such a short amount of time. I think there was one kickboxing show that was on Channel 5 at like 3:00 in the morning, and if we were able to stay up for that without falling asleep, we catch that a few times. But I think the first time we ever saw MMA, for instance, was we were 17-year-old. UFC came up on the TV. It was the Ultimate Fighter that came up. It was the Jens Pulver BJ Penn series, which was a cracking series, and I kind of came in and Dan was watching it. I was like, "What are you watching this? All this rolling around on the floor for?" Proper cliche first introduction to MMA, and you get caught up in the drama, and then the passion started from there, I guess.
Excellent. So, which one of you was born first, fellas?
That was me. Yeah, by about 15 minutes. I think I was first. Yeah.
15 minutes. It's not too long, but it's just about right. Still trying to stay one step ahead. So when you was growing up in school and stuff, was you both quite academic? And if so, who was the most academic out of the both? It's basically who was the brightest?
I'd say Matthew was the brightest, definitely. He's definitely the more intelligent one, more of a thinker. If I was the one climbing on the school roof to get the football, he was the one telling me to get down. Do you know what I mean? It was more that way than the other.
I love it. What about timekeeping? Was you both like, did you go everywhere together? Was you both on time together, or did you do things a bit separately?
I think we were both kind of like dead sensible young men. To be fair, we were really good kids. Boy, a little bit. We probably could do with a little bit more attitude or a little bit more behaving badly, but we were super good kids. We were disciplined with our training, and I think that any kind of anger or aggressiveness came out in the training. You know, we didn't really get into any fights at school for the most part. We were. We weren't smart, but we were good kids, and our teachers, I think, liked us and whatnot. So, yeah, I think that probably again correlates to the training. Any aggression was on the pads and on the bags, and possibly on each other a little bit at the time. But yeah, we were quite sensible kids growing up. To be fair.
You know what? I'm quite surprised at that, because obviously some people assume twins are going to be a bit mischievous, up to no good, but considering that you was obviously in the gym from a younger age and you channeled all that, do you think that's put you in good stead now, because you're quite two cool, calm, collected characters for people that won't punch each other's heads in at the end of the day, aren't you? So do you think it has channeled it, that sort of thing, from earlier?
Yeah, I think so. And generally in Warrington, everyone, not like bragging of it, everyone knows who we are, so they just leave us alone more than anything else. So no one's ever come up to us and started any trouble or anything like that. So we've never really had to kind of be anything more than cool, calm, and collected. We've been pretty good there. Kind of people we're nice lads. You know what I mean, don't take the piss, but we're nice lads, and everyone just leaves us alone and treats us with respect. Really.
That's nice.
Is that like part of your upbringing in terms of making you discipline, make you come being involved in MMA or kickboxing at such a young age, because it is that sort of environment where you let it all out in that moment there rather than anywhere else?
I think so. I think we found out very quickly that we had a real passion for kickboxing or for martial arts at such a young age. And again, we're talking, a good 23 years ago now. There wasn't any kind of ideas of doing this professionally or earning any money or anything out of it. It was just because we were passionate about it and we enjoyed it and we felt we were okay at it. And so, yeah, I think it's important for anyone, whether they're a kid or an adult, you need a passion, you need something to channel this energy into. For you guys, it might be this podcast. For me and Dan, it was martial arts. It was finding something to get out of bed in the morning for and to work towards, pick something really hard and work at it. And I think you'll probably be a better person for it, even if you don't get that end goal. I'll never be a UFC champion, but I certainly feel like me as a character is a lot, the best version of Matt Banner that there could be.
Mm-hmm.
And can you walk us through that sort of first experience of competing for the first time, and talk us through when it was, where it was, and sort of what went down?
It was the kickboxing scrubs first. We'd have only been about 10 and 11, and we absolutely hated it. I don't know why, but we absolutely hated competing. We'd get so nervous, and even stemming from there, when we left kickbox, we started doing MMA again. We didn't enjoy fighting. We enjoyed the feeling after winning a fight, but we absolutely hated competing for a while. I think Matthew was the same.
Yeah, I think it was. I try and say this. Obviously, me and Dan coach at our own gym now, and some of the advice to some of the amateurs coming up was enjoy your amateur career. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. We put so much pressure on our shoulders, and you'd lose an amateur fight, and you'd be crying on the way home in the car, and you think, all right, you can be upset and you can sulk a little bit, but it's amateur. It's not end of the world. It's a learning experience, and it took quite a lot of time to acknowledge that. But that was just down to again being in love with the sport and wanting to get on with it and wanting to be successful. So yeah, Dan's right. We hated competing, but I think both of us now we're a lot better at handling those pressures.
And what changed for you guys in terms of enjoying it? Because I assume you enjoy competing now. So what was that switch where it was like, actually, no, this is really good. I love this.
Again, for me, it's the discipline of it's different now because we've both got kids. So, but for me, it was the reason to get out of bed in the morning. That was the one reason: get out of bed, get to training, and sounds a bit cheesy saying it, but I think the worst thing in life is being average. There's nothing worse than just coasting through life and working the 9 to 5 and just looking forward to the Friday night, the weekend. We both wanted to wake up every day and not be jumping out of bed excited about it, but at least be looking forward to accomplishing something and achieving something. And that didn't have to be a world title. That could have been just having a really good day of training. But I mean, that's what changed. It's definitely what gets me out of bed in the morning is Muay Thai and training and sparring with the lads at Majestic and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's all about having goals and like I said, waking up to a goal, whether that's short term or long term. Dress when you was growing up. Was you dressed the same for a period of time, being twins?
He was, yeah, up until about 13. To be fair, which is about 13 years too much, but yeah, it was same pajamas, same clothes, and yeah, there's a few dodgy photos hanging about of me and Dan in the same clothes. I think your mum would buy you she'd buy you the same jumper but a different colour at Christmas or something. And you think, oh, I've done enough there. They won't know when you think, Christ, we can't wear these jumpers at the same time, can we?
Family events and you're both stood there in the same jumpers. So about 13, that's probably when you can start picking, choosing your own clothes. So since then, who's had the worst dress? Who's had the worst dress sense?
Yeah. Oh God, that's like asking which is the better looking one. It's a bad start. God,
Yeah.
I always say every single piece of clothing I own is either been given to me for Christmas or birthday, or I've had it off a sponsor. So I just rock on up with my Pitbull fight wear stuff. So I don't know. I guess it's me by default. I think.
I love that. What about tasting music and films and stuff like that? Are you both into similar stuff, or are you into different kind of stuff like action movies, stuff like that?
Yeah, we are film wise. Out in my we both like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that. We're not. We're both definitely. If we ever went to the cinema, we never take a girl, but we've always go with each other, wouldn't we?
I love that.
Yeah, we'd go to the cinemas just us two.
That's just because we couldn't get a girlfriend, though. That's why. We're kind of big Lord of the Rings fans. We're big nerds when it comes to Lord of the Rings, and I like me video games and stuff. I don't think Dan's got too much time for that sort of stuff, but I enjoy getting on the PS5, and that's kind of like my de-stress of the day for the most part.
I love that. You've always had a really closeness and a strong bond. So do you still socialise like that now between both of your family units? Because like you said, you've both got your own little families now. So do you still socialise and interact as a strong family bond?
Yeah, we do. Go on, Dan. Go on.
You go ahead. Go on.
I was going to say, yeah, I think we do, and I think that's been the big pleasure with having kids. I didn't really want kids until Dan had one, and then I certainly didn't want. I have a boy, but I certainly never wanted a girl. But with Dan and his daughter Isla, that I was, I kind of swayed me in a sense, and it made me want to become a dad, and I very much enjoy that. But yeah, I think we come from kind of a family background where we didn't have those big family gatherings. The family was kind of splintered in a sense. We didn't really spend too much time on my mum's side with her family. We spent a little bit more on my dad's side, but it's kind of nice to kind of rectify that a little bit by spending time with Dan's family. And we've got an older sister who's got two daughters. So we for Christmas, for instance, or a couple of weeks before to Christmas, Dan rented a cottage and we all went down with the kids and stuff and had a fantastic time.
Lovely.
And is there any lessons you've learned from being parents that you've put into your fighting career?
Yeah, I'm not one of these guys who sits there and goes, "I'm doing it for my kids." I think Muay Thai in itself, there's not loads of money in it, so I am doing it for me. But even if it's not financially, when Isla grows up, or if we have another kid and he or she grows up, they can see that like the dad and their uncle have gone on and achieved big things, then surely it should push them in that direction as well. So hopefully that. Even if it's not financially, you're never going to be a millionaire from Muay Thai ever. You're never going to earn big money. But even in the sense where you can kind of be a role model and show them that you've achieved things, so maybe they can go on and do the same as well.
I think for myself, it's given me we talked about the amateur fights before and being so nervous about it and all that pressure you put on yourselves. It gives you a little bit of perspective. It's, you lose a fight, your kids are going to love you when you go home. They don't care that dad's lost a fight. They just care that dad's okay and he's there with them. And same with your wife, your missus as well. It's given me a bit of perspective. Fighting, we're not curing cancer. We're punching each other in the face as hard as we can. It doesn't really make too much of a difference in the world. What's more important is the family back at home, and that's what kind of motivates me to carry on fighting. I'm in a bit of a better position than Dan in MMA to make a little bit more money. It's just the way the sports are. MMA fighters generally do make more than Thai boxers, so that's given me a really push to say, okay, let's move to Octagon, let's make a little bit more money, and let's get a better contract.
Absolutely. Nate?
Yeah, no, that sort of probably moves us on perfectly, I think, to your upcoming fight. You're fighting on Octagon. What can we expect from this fight?
It's going to be a tough fight. They're all tough fights these days, unfortunately. All the guys are super tough, very talented. This is another guy with a really strong kickboxing background, knockout artist, very long in the arm, very tall. He's a southpaw. He's kind of ticking all those boxes that you don't really want your opponent to tick, to be honest. But there's gaps there. I'm very confident going in, and it's going to be a hell of a fight, that's for sure.
So preparation-wise, because he's a kickboxer and stuff, I take it that you've been sparring a lot with him, Dan, and preparing him for it.
Sparring a lot, more drilling, really. Like I say, Dan is a big 6'2", very extremely good Thai boxer. I was sparring Dan a lot before the last fight in Germany. And I remember the moment I stepped in against a kipper who was my last opponent, and I was fighting him for all of a minute, and straight away I thought, you just haven't got anything on Dan. You're just nowhere near as good, and that was quite nice. Obviously, you wouldn't want that to be the other way around, but fighting someone who is as talented as Dan, who is as efficient as he is, has made everybody else feel pretty insignificant, to be honest.
Let's go back to Germany. Let's touch on that for a minute. The whole fight week and the feeling of it. You was the away fighter. You went and basically beat the guy in his own back garden. So just tell us a little bit about fight week and the feelings around it, because they're huge in Germany and Czech Republic, aren't they? So
yeah, it was strange. It was a very strange experience because I'd fought in September on Cage Warriors. That's my last fight in Cage Warriors. And then it was kind of swimming around like, oh, you might be fighting for Octagon. You might be fighting for Octagon. And we got to the Friday, the week before. My coach said, we've not heard anything off Octagon. If they don't message me by the end of the day, let's leave it and let's wait for another fight. And I thought, thank God, at least I kind of half know what I'm doing. Got home, got a message off my coach saying, okay, this is the opponent. You've just been matched up. Here's the contract. A couple of days later, I'm on an airplane, and in Germany, it was very strange. It was very surreal. It was almost like a dream. Like you said, I fought a German in Germany. 19,000 people there. It's 10 times the amount of people I fought in front of before, and it ended up being a great experience. I'm really pleased that I did it. Really pleased with the performance, and it was something. Again, you've got these moments in your career where you can look back and reminisce, and that'll be one of the moments, I think.
Absolutely. Nate?
And Dan, is there any takeaways from yourself from that weekend in Germany watching that fight?
Well, I wasn't there. I was in Australia, so I was supposed to be fighting on the same day in Australia. So I've travelled all the way to Australia, and then my opponent, we're fighting for a WBC world title, one of the biggest world titles you can win. I'd already won 2 world titles that year, so it would have been my third world title. And the guy I was supposed to fight pulled out 4 hours before the weigh-in, so I'd cut weight. I was literally I think I was half a kilo off weight. We had about 5 hours, so I thought, I'll just have a nap. I'll just go for a kip. I'll wake up. I'll wait in a few hours. Felt really good, not dehydrated at all. And then, my coach walked in the hotel room, and I heard him he didn't whisper it, but he said it quietly because he thought I was kind of like half asleep. He thought I was fully asleep, and he whispered to my teammate, George just pulled out, and I kind of shot out of bed. He told me he was as nice as he could be about it. But yeah, that's what that was unraveling at the same time. Matthew was getting ready to fight in Germany. I was on the other side of the world, having the biggest letdown of my career. Yeah, it was a tough weekend, that.
Was it at least a slight consolation that he won that he won the fight? Was that at least sort of some when you saw it? How did you watch it, or did you get it on text, or what was? How did you?
No, I watched it. Yeah, it was. I think it was about. It had been about 8 o'clock in the morning for us in Australia, so we were watching it while we were eating our breakfast. And I was chuffed. Yeah, I was absolutely chuffed. For him. I was made up. Yeah, because I thought it was going to be a really tough fight. The guy was good, man. So he's fighting kickboxer on Glory. He fought for the Glory World Title. Yeah, I was obviously disappointed with myself that I never got my chance to go out and fight for that world title. But yeah, I was absolutely chuffed to bits with Matthew.
Oh, but the middleweight division, like Brian Lacey said to you, Matt, it's on notice now. It was a really strong performance, like we mentioned, in his own back garden. But let's take into the massive factor that how short late notice it was as well. And you didn't falter under the big lights, under the conditions or anything. So can you describe the 60 seconds, the feeling you had in the 60 seconds after your name was called and you'd got the decision?
I was chuffed. I went back to my corner after the third round. I knew we'd won the third, but my corner thought I'd lost the first round. I knew I'd lost the second. In my head, I'd won the first and the third. And my coach was he was dismayed. He was like, "Oh, what, Matt? You could have won that. We could have had it." I'm thinking, well, I don't know. I reckon I might have won that first and the third. And he was like, "Nah, it's Germany. He's a German. They're going to give him the first." And then you see the promoter. The promoter who's the MC at the same time. He calls out my name as the winner. And he just seemed to look at my coach and go, "Ah, like I told you, I won." And so yeah, I was chuffed. And you just go, "Oh, thank God, what a relief." Yeah, I've gone all this way, short notice, and I've won, and I was super stoked about it.
The middleweight division in Octagon's looking very strong at the minute, isn't it? And I bet you're glad to be a part of it while they're making such massive waves breaking into the UK scene. They've just signed an old foe of yours, Stano Mick Stanton, and I'm sure people have mentioned it to you over the last couple of weeks. Is that a possibility down the line?
I think it's always a possibility. Yeah, I think it always is. I would kind of say it very much depends on this fight next week. If I was to win against Peñas is ranked number 4. I see this very much up there in title contention. So obviously Stanton lost his title last time. He's on a one fight losing streak. If I win next weekend, I'm on a 3 fight winning streak. So I'll be a little bit fed up if that was the next fight after 2 really good wins against 2 really young promising fighters. But yeah, if that fight would come along, I would be happy to fight him. I'd love to have fought him for that Cage Warriors belt. To be honest, I don't know why I wasn't kind of in line for that at some point. But yeah, if that fight comes along, then it'd be good fun, and that'd be a good build up to that fight for sure.
Absolutely, but like you said, you've got a very dangerous prospect in front of you. He's not lost in the octagon cage. So what are we expecting from the Beast next week, and how are you approaching this fight without giving too much away about your preparation?
It's a tough one because, mentioning the last fight, I went in that fight saying I've got to wrestle this guy. He's a kickboxer, 61 wins, 61 fights, 49 wins in kickboxing. My goal, my plan is to wrestle, and then at the end of the third round, I was smashing him on the feet. So I'm very much going into this fight with the mentality of I'm a good, well-rounded MMA fighter. I'm not saying I'm not going to strike with him. I'm not saying I'm not going to wrestle. I'm not saying I'm going to wrestle. I'm just going to go in there and use all the skills that I need at the time that I need them.
Absolutely. And Dan, leading on to your fight night, but we're about a month away now, aren't we? And wow, yeah. What a concept that is now. The road to one championship. Was you one of the first ones to get a phone call? And I bet you took it in a heartbeat, didn't you?
Yeah, to be fair, I didn't even realise I was in the running for it, to be fair, because it was announced at 77 kilos, and I can make 77, and I didn't hear anything for a couple of days, so I was kind of in a bit of a sulk about it. It was kind of a bit in a mood, like I'm the UK number 1, and no one's rang me off from me. I was sitting there with a trifle left over from Christmas, going rubbish. I don't know why I never got offered this fight. And then Kev, my coach, messaged me on the Thursday, said I've got a big opportunity for you in that tournament. So I was like, oh yeah, sound buzzing, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like you said, you'd already won 2 titles in 2 organisations in last year, and you ranked number 2 with the WBC.
Yeah.
So the world's your oyster for 2024, and regardless of what happens in a couple of weeks, you're still highly ranked, and there's still going to be some great fights out there for you. But let's just talk a little bit about the concepts, because you can potentially have 2 fights on one night,
Yeah.
can't you?
That's right, yeah. So I'm guessing the 3 other lads have been announced now as well. I've actually fought one of them a couple of years ago. I knocked him out to get the UK #1 spot. So we've got a bit of preview. There's another lad, a Geordie lad, who I'm seeing is probably the most dangerous guy in there. And there's another lad as well that I've not really heard of. He sounds Italian or Greek or something like that. He trains in the UK. But yeah, I think we'll both, I don't know when we find out who we're fighting, but we'll both kind of fight earlier on in the night, and then the winner of that will go on to fight later on again in the night as well. So yeah, 2 fights in one night there.
Nate?
How do you prepare for something like that? Because obviously there is the chance that you are going to fight twice in one night, which isn't something has happened too often. So what do you do in training to make sure you're prepared for that?
Luckily for me, my coach, Kevin Harper, he's been in 8-man tournaments, never mind 4-man tournaments. So he's kind of got that previous experience where, and it sounds really simple in saying it, but it's not the best guys who win these tournaments. It's the most intelligent, as in not the best technique. It's the guy who takes the least damage or finishes the job early, sees the gaps and finishes the job fairly early without, say, sustaining too much damage. So I'm lucky, to be fair, that Kev's there. He's had that experience in the past doing 4-mans and 8-mans where as soon as I fight, he knows exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get back in the changing room, get the recovery going, get some light carbohydrates down me, and just kind of prepare, see how long we've got to prepare for the next one in the night, really.
And it's a road to one tournament. So, and obviously one championship made a lot of plays in Muay Thai over the last few years. Is that something that is a goal for you to fight on one championship? Yeah,
definitely. And there's a few of the traditionalists coming out now, and they're not happy about one championship because the scoring is going the way where it's kind of like kickboxing with elbows and limited clinch. It's just people smashing each other up. But that's what the casual wants. Sometimes you see these Muay Thai fights and the guy will come out and his face looks like he's been ran over and he's won the fight because he's scored better. Yeah. And I understand from the casual's point of view, they don't know what the scoring is. They're thinking, what the hell's going on here? So I think if you are the casual, and 90% of people who watch these sports are the casual who go in there to watch the mate, they want to see people elbowing each other, splitting each other open, beating each other up. And these guys can say what they want, but one championship is the only place in Muay Thai where there's any decent money with the $50,000 bonuses and the $100,000 contracts. If you want to make money, good money in Muay Thai, you've got to go to one championship.
Absolutely, it's the premier promotion, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right now, it's the largest in terms of numbers, and the Lumpini Stadium in Bangkok. Wow, is that a major goal for you, Dan, to try and fight there one day?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. Like with the Friday night fights and stuff like that on Lumpini, they're great fights. Like I said, I've got teammates who have fought on it before, and they've got nothing but good things to say about it. So it's lovely fighting for world titles and ranking spots and stuff, but you can't pay the mortgage with them. Do you know what I mean? You've got to go where the money is, and that's where one championship. That's where the money is.
Absolutely, they've definitely got their own, like UFC has their own niche, etc. One FC have definitely created their niche is very strong. So this big super fight that they've recently announced, is it Akiyama and Holzken? It's 3 different rounds. I think it's boxing, Muay Thai, and mixed martial arts. Would you ever be interested in something like that? Would you ever sign yourself up for something like that? Big super fight?
Yeah, but if the money was there, mate, I'd sign up to anything. Yeah, 100%. And obviously, I've got Matthew there as well, so I've got a great sparring partner for the MMA portion of it, kickboxing, boxing, whatever. Yeah, I'd be game for that. If the money was decent, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely, Matthew. I didn't ask you this because you're fighting next week, so I think all your sponsors in. But do you have any more sponsorship spots, Dan, or have you got a last few calls for sponsors because there's still 4 weeks out from the fight?
Me personally, I've got I have to send. The difference with Octagon is they print all your sponsorships out. So I've sent all my sponsorships over, and the sponsors have paid me some decent money. I hope they get all the logos on the t-shirt. So yeah, I'm sorted. I don't know. I'm sure Dan would love a few more sponsors himself.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I assume that you'd be all right, Matthew, because like I said, there's only a week to go, but you've got 4 weeks out, Dan. So is there still time for people to get involved and sponsor?
Yeah, 100%. Just message me on Instagram, Dan Tybox, or Facebook, or wherever. Call me up, and I'm more than happy to discuss like sponsorships and stuff like that. There's not loads to it. It's basically your logo and your company name on the t-shirts and the walkout shorts and stuff, or the mentions on social medias and stuff like that. It's just I would like to do the same when I've retired and stuff. We both got a gym. I'd love to sponsor a fighter or a local football team and just help out. Just help out a local business more than anything else. I mean, I think that's a good proper thing to do.
I love that. And I know you've not found out who you've been matched with in the first fight. Well, yeah, the first fight in a month's time in Manchester. But what can we expect from you, Dan, going into that? What can we expect on the night?
Again, I'm used to fighting 5 3-minute rounds, and these are just 3-3s. So there's going to be no such thing as a slow start. A lot of times in Muay Thai, the first 2 rounds, if it's a 5-round fight, you're very slow, you're feeling each other out. You haven't got time for that. So basically, you're going to be flying out, aren't we? In 4-round gloves. I mean, again, not bragging. Matthew's a much better technical boxer than I am, but I can knock people out. I've got the one-shot power in both hands where I can knock people out. So in 4-ounce gloves, I mean, I can do that in 10-ounce gloves. So if I stick the 4-ounce gloves, I'm hoping it'd be a couple of nice finishes on the record on February the 24th. Yeah,
absolutely. Before we ask the penultimate question, I did get a few fans' questions from Instagram today. The first one: who dominates in sparring?
Go on. I'll let Dan answer that. He's got a better answer than me, I think.
If it's anything other than stand up, Matthew beats me. If it's stand up, I kick him all over the gym. To be fair, I'd punch his head in all over the gym. But if it's MMA, it's over in about 30 seconds. If as soon as my back hits the floor, whatever, he'll smash me. He'll smash me on the floor.
Good answer. If there was one thing now that you could do differently, what would it be?
For me personally, it would go to next gen earlier. I went next gen when I was kind of 20, 28, 29 maybe. I made an awful lot of mistakes coming up as a young fighter. I wasn't at the right gym. I didn't have the right coaches, and that was purely down to the decisions I made. All my success was going to next gen and being under really good coaches and having really good sparring partners and training partners. So it would be to go to next gen that little bit earlier.
Dan?
So I'm not. It's kind of like a rubbish answer. This kind of sitting on the fence a little bit. But my biggest regret out of 35, I've been stopped once, and that was at the start of last year. I flew over to Denmark to fight for the Muay Thai Grand Prix World Title, and I just went there. And it's not like me. I don't know why I changed for this fight, but I kind of went out there with a little bit of an ego and a little bit arrogant, and kind of. I remember I smashed this guy up in the first round. I dropped to him an elbow. I swept him. I remember walking back to the corner thinking, this is easy. They're doing sound here. Second round, he knocks me out cold. First time I've ever been knocked out. So I think that would be my biggest regret is going in and letting the ego get a bit of the better of me there, kind of. And that again, that's not me, but I was a little bit arrogant there, and he made me pay for that a little bit. I learned a lesson off that one.
Well, I love the raw honesty. The last question, the last fan's question, is for Matt, and I feel a bit iffy asking this because I don't want to piss off any promotions or your opinion piss off any promotions. Octagon or Cage Warriors, which do you prefer?
I think that it's a tricky one, this, because my my manager is Graham Boylan, who owns Cage Warriors. So
that's what I mean about pissing people off. I knew it was an iffy one to ask, but I thought I'll ask it anyway.
This is what I'd say, and this is complete truth, and I'll be dead honest. I enjoyed fighting for Cage Warriors. I had 17 fights there. Winning the Cage Warriors belt is like the crown jewel, of my kind of CV. To this day, I hope there's more to come. But I really enjoyed being part of Cage Warriors and winning that belt. I think if you're a young fighter coming up who's looking to go to the UFC, I think Cage Warriors is a great platform. Graham has a fantastic relationship with the UFC, and I still think probably if you're a European, the easiest way to get to the UFC is to go through Cage Warriors. I think if you want to earn more money, which again is we've talked about money quite a lot during this podcast. If you're motivated by money, I think there's more opportunity at Octagon. I think, you know, I'm 33 years old. And the UFC going to want a 33-year-old who's got an up and down record. You know, you can look at my record and tell me how good my opponents were, and even the guys I've lost to are really good. But the UFC don't give a shit about that. They look at your record, look at your age, look at your face. You know, looking good on a poster. So different things. You know, if you're a young up-and-comer, pick Cage Warriors. You know, if you don't want to work on a building site while you're fighting for Cage Warriors, then go to Octagon and earn a little bit more money.
Absolutely. Nate?
And I just wanted to ask, sort of, this one's to both of you. Start with you, Matt. You've both obviously won some big fights in your career. You've won championships. Can you tell me a moment watching Dan fight, and the same will go for you for Matt, where you felt the proudest or your favourite moment of watching the other fight?
Well, that's a tricky one, because Dan had some, you know, really standout moments last year. He won the CFS world title in London, which was in the York Hall, which is where I won my world title as well. So that was, again, such a relief, because you know, we both supported each other, and we both just wanted each other to at least take something out of the sport. Me and Dan say this all the time: there's far better, far more talented people out there than me and Dan who have got a lot less out of this sport, whether they've got fed up or whether they've gone through some, you know, horrendous injury. So watching him win the world title in the York Hall, CFS, and then watching him win the WMO title in Wigan, which is like his home event, I suppose. So either of those two were just fantastic memories.
Yeah, the same for me was when obviously Matthew won his Cage Warriors world title. No one could go. It was in COVID, so it was behind closed doors. We kind of streamed it in the gym, and we all stayed 2 meters apart, obviously, because that's what everyone had to do, didn't we? But yeah, it was crazy because it was kind of, Matthew started really strongly, and then it kind of tipped in the other guy's favour, and then Matthew won by rear naked choke, and everyone went ballistic. So even now, I videoed it because I had a good feeling Matthew was going to win it, and I watched that back at least once a week, and I still kind of get goosebumps from it. Really, that was probably, I rate that higher than me winning a world title was watching Matthew do it. I don't know why, but it was more special for me, probably because of his up and down record and his poor start to his pro career. Matthew winning the Cage Warriors world title was more special than me winning a couple of titles. Yeah.
And just quickly on the like, I don't know if you believe in fate or anything like that, but for you both to win a world title at York Hall, that must have been pretty special.
Yeah, for sure. I say I'm a little bit kind of, you know, destiny and fate and whatnot. I'm not quite worked out myself. It was a special moment, and like we said many times, we're just two divs from Warrington. We never thought we'd get anything out of this sport, and you know, we're not athletic, we're not talented. Everything's just come from being consistent, and it is. Yeah, we've done all right. You know, if it all kind of ends tomorrow, if Dan loses this tournament or I lose my fight next week, and we say, do you know what? You know, let's pack it in. Let's focus on something else. We've done all right. I can look back and say, yeah, all right. We did well. We're pleased. I think we're both pleased with what we've already done.
Definitely. Well, you've both won titles, multiple, highly ranked in organisations and governing bodies. So like you just said, if you decided to pack it all in tomorrow, what legacy do you think you've set, or what legacy do you want to leave?
Just, again, going off what Matthew said then, that you don't have to be this athletic freak to go and win world titles. I say this to the lads, obviously we're both, as Matthew mentioned before, again, we both run our own gym. I teach the Muay Thai. Matthew teaches MMA. It works really well. So it's just telling the lads, they do it all the time. They come in and they're looking great, and then they disappear for months on end. So for me, the legacy would be anyone can do it. You've just got to show up. You can't get worse by showing up. Yeah, it's uncomfortable sometimes. You're coming in when you first start, you're getting beat up a little bit, you're getting tapped out, whatever. But if you maintain coming in 2, 3, 4 times a week, you can achieve, you know, great things really in sport.
Absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to add, Nathan?
No, I just to both of you, would like to end with this because obviously the fights are coming up. For both of you, Matt and Dan, what can we expect from you in the fight and in the tournament for you, Dan?
Again, for me, I don't like making fight predictions, but I'm going in to knock these guys out. There's no other There's no other option for me. In those little 4-ounce gloves, I'm going in and I'm going to try and spark these two lads out. That's it. There's going to be a technical aspect to it, and again, there's going to be that kind of damage limitation kind of thing. But I'm going in there to smack someone about, really, and I will do it. I'm going to knock these two guys out. These two guys on February 24th, they're getting sparked. Yeah.
I think for myself, it's the last fight has given me a really good confidence boost going into this one. I think Peñas is better than the last guy I fought, but I feel more confident this time, more mentally prepared. Obviously, we talked about the training camp and whatnot. I didn't really have one last time, and this time I've had a full training camp. I feel like training's gone really well. I'd love to get a finish. I'd love to get hold of him. I'd love to do some real damage. And he seems like a really nice fella, but he's a knockout artist. He's going to be wanting to land that big left backhand on my chin, and I'd like to return the favour and just say, Peñas is one of the golden boys of Octagon, and I kind of almost feel like this fight's been made for him. Let's put him against Matt Bonner. Let's put him against a veteran. Let's put him against next world champion. It'll legitimise Peñas, and I'm there saying, I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not a veteran. I'm not a journeyman. I'm coming to win that belt.
Absolutely. Do you feel that it's if that's their view? Do you feel that's a little bit disrespectful in a way, or are you not bothered because you're higher the ranks anyway? And you, on the flip side, it's a massive opportunity for you as well.
I think every promotion on the planet has guys who they push forward and want to be. Want these guys to speak for them, especially Peñas is Czech. The two promoters are Czech citizens. He's fought for them for a long time. He has a fantastic relationship with them. So I don't take it as disrespectful. I don't take any offence. I think it's quite natural for that to happen. I mentioned Graham was my manager when I was in Cage Warriors, and I'm assuming he probably wanted me to win my fights when I was on there. So swings and roundabouts. This I don't get offended very easily. Of course. It's up to me to go in there and prove everyone wrong and show them how good I am.
Of course. Well, lads, it's been a pleasure tonight. Thank you for coming on and joining us. I hope it was all right for you. I hope the chat was all right.
No, we appreciate the time, guys, and we'd love to come on again. I'm sure after the fights, after we both won our fights, we'll come back on, and that'd be our pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, Matt, I'll see you next week in Newcastle for the press conference and on fight night. And Dan, I'm going to try and get media accreditation for Hitman. If not, I will come and buy a ticket direct from you, mate, and I will be there to support. No problem.
Cheers, Alex. Thanks a lot.
All right, take care, lads. Thank you very much for your time.
See you later.
Later.